It was just a regular night, or at least it was supposed to be. We were sitting in the living room, TV murmuring in the background. The kind of easy silence you get used to when you've been with someone long enough. Her phone lit up on the coffee table. I didn't mean to look, but you can't exactly not notice when the name is right there. Bold as day, her ex. The screen went dark before I could read the whole message, but my chest tightened anyway. I tried to keep my voice calm, casual, like I wasn't suddenly wondering why he was texting her at 9 o'clock at night. Hey, why is your ex messaging you? She didn't even look up from what she was doing. Just reached for her phone, glanced at it, and smirked. And then she said it. You're easily replaceable. The words landed like a punch I didn't see coming. Not loud, not dramatic, just cold and sharp, cutting straight through me. I froze, waiting for her to laugh, to say she didn't mean it. But she just kept scrolling, like she'd just told me the weather. I couldn't hear the TV anymore. Couldn't hear anything but those words echoing in my head. Easily replaceable. Like that was some cheap appliance she could swap out if it broke. I stared at her for a few seconds, searching her face for some sign that she was joking. There was nothing. And in that moment, I realized some things once said can't be taken back. It's almost cruel how fast my mind went back to the beginning, like some part of me needed to rewind. Just to make sense of how we'd ended up here, I remembered the day I picked out her engagement ring. I must have visited 3 different jewelers, holding each ring up to the light, picturing it on her hand. When I finally found the one, I couldn't stop smiling. Not because of the diamond, but because I imagined the look on her face when I asked, and I remembered that look, the way she gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Tears spilling before I even finished the question. We told everyone, friends, family, coworkers, like we were sharing the best secret in the world. Those months were a blur of wedding plans, Pinterest boards, and long talks at night about our future. She'd curl up against me on the couch, sketching ideas for the reception on scraps of paper. Her laugh would fill the room, and I'd think, this is it. This is home. She was magnetic. People were drawn to her warmth, her quick wit, the way she made strangers feel like they'd known her for years. And I believed every part of it, believed in us. But looking back now, there were cracks. Even then, the times she'd get a text and tilt her phone just slightly away from me, the defensive tone in her voice. If I casually asked who she was talking to, I told myself she valued her privacy, that it wasn't worth making a big deal about. I didn't realize those little moments were the first warning signs. I chose to ignore because I was too busy believing we were unshakable. After she called me easily replaceable, something in the air shifted. Or maybe it had been shifting for a while. And I just finally noticed. She wasn't outright cruel, not in a way anyone else would see. But her tone was different, colder, shorter. Like every question I asked was an interruption. I'd try to kiss her when she got home, and she'd just turn her head slightly, so I'd get her cheek instead. Her phone became an extension of her hand, always on, always in front of her face. I'd walk into the room, and the screen would flip down instantly. She'd smile, but it wasn't the kind that reached her eyes. She started being busy a lot. Work dinners, errands that somehow took hours, plans with friends I've heard of before. When I'd ask, she'd be vague, like the details didn't matter, or like they shouldn't matter to me. One night, she came home after midnight. Her hair smelled faintly of cologne, not mine. I didn't say anything. I just lay there in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to her in the bathroom. Part of me wanted to believe the excuses, to avoid the fight, but another part, the part that had been replaying her replaceable comment over and over. That part knew something was breaking. And once you start noticing cracks, you can't unsee them. I waited a few days before bringing it up. Not because I wasn't hurt, but because I thought maybe the sting would fade. Talk about it without sounding needy. We were sitting in the living room, the TV casting that soft blue glow across the walls. I muted it, turned toward her, and said, "When you called me replaceable, that hurt." She didn't apologize. She didn't even hesitate. She smirked, an actual smirk, and said, "You're too sensitive. It was just a joke." A joke. I told her it didn't feel like a joke, and that I was worried about how distant she'd been lately. Her smile dropped, replaced with that sharp edge in her voice. Suddenly, it wasn't about what she said or her behavior. It was about how I never trusted her. "If you're going to be paranoid every time my phone buzzes, maybe you're not ready for marriage," she snapped. I sat there, stunned, wondering how a conversation about my hurt turned into an attack on me. It was like she had a remote control for the whole situation, flipping the channel every time. I got too close to the truth. I wanted to fight back. I wanted to demand answers, but all I could do was sit there, watching her turn away, picking up her phone again like I'd been dismissed, and that was the moment I realized. She wasn't interested in fixing anything. She was interested in keeping me quiet. It wasn't like I was snooping. Her phone was on the counter while she was in the shower, buzzing nonstop. I glanced over, half expecting it to be some group chat, or her mom, but it was his name, her ex. The preview text flashed on the screen. My stomach knotted. One line, followed by a winking emoji. Suggestive, not old friends catching up. Suggestive. The kind that makes your heart pound in your ears. I shouldn't have looked further. I know that, but my hand moved before my brain caught up. Few swipes, and suddenly I was staring at weeks of flirtatious messages. Inside jokes I didn't understand, and more than one late night wish you were here. When she came out, hair wrapped in a towel, I was still holding her phone. My hands were shaking. I asked, "What is this?" My voice didn't even sound like mine. She looked at the screen, then at me, and smiled. Not guilty. Not ashamed. Just amused. "Maybe I just want options," she said. Like she was commenting on a lunch menu, and that's when I knew it wasn't just one bad comment or a few. Distant weeks, the relationship was already gone. I'd been trying to build a future with someone who was already halfway out the door. I put the phone down, the weight of it suddenly too much. My chest felt hollow, like my heart had been scooped out and replaced with static. She walked past me, without another word, and the sound of the bathroom door clicking shut felt louder than anything she'd said after that night. The air between us wasn't just tense, it was dead. We stopped talking about anything that mattered, actually. We barely talked at all. She'd leave in the evening without saying where she was going. No kiss goodbye, no I'll be home late. No. Just the sound of the front door closing. I stopped asking, not because I didn't want to know, but because, what was the point? Every question was just an invitation for her to roll her eyes, or throw another "you're too controlling" back at me. So I stayed quiet. She stayed gone. The night stretched out like chewing gum, slow, tasteless, endless. I'd sit in the living room, staring at the TV, not even following what was on. The glow of my phone would light up the room every so often, but never with her name. Night, I called her, straight to voicemail. I didn't bother leaving a message. It hit me then. The person I'd planned to marry had already moved on in her heart, and maybe I had to. I found myself going to bed without waiting for her, not checking the clock anymore. I stopped imagining wedding vows and started imagining the day I could just breathe again. We were two people living in the same house, but emotionally, we were on different planets. And the worst part? I wasn't even angry anymore. Just numb, like my feelings had been packed up and shipped somewhere far away, leaving me with nothing but silence. 3 weeks later, by then, silence had become our default language. So when she suddenly said, "We need to talk," I didn't even flinch. We were in the kitchen. She was leaning against the counter, scrolling her phone like we were just passing time. Then, without even looking up, she said, "I've been thinking, and I don't really see a future for us." It's just like that. No build-up. It's no emotion. Like she was deciding between pizza or pasta for dinner. I stared at her for a second, waiting for something more, an explanation, an apology, anything.
Ow!
But she just kept scrolling, eyes locked on her screen, like I was a background noise she was politely tolerating. And in that moment, I knew she hadn't just been thinking. For 3 weeks, she'd been done for months. The wedding plans? Dead in her mind long before she told me. The late nights, the evasive answers, the smirk when I caught her texting her ex. It all lined up now. She checked out emotionally, and maybe even physically. I wanted to ask her why she stayed this long, why she didn't just rip the bandage off earlier. But the words never came. Instead, I just sat there, quiet, staring past her at the wall behind her head, and for the first time in a long time, felt lighter. Not because she was leaving, but because now it was finally over. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't ask her to explain herself one more time. I just stood up, walked to the bedroom, and grabbed my suitcase from under the bed. The sound of the zipper opening felt louder than it should have, like it was cutting through the stale air between us. I folded my clothes. Slowly, not because I needed to be careful, but because I was letting every movement sink in. This was it. This was me. Leaving the life I thought I was building. She didn't follow me into the room. She didn't ask me to stay. She didn't even glance up from her phone. When I wheeled my bag past her, there's something sobering about that kind of silence. The kind that tells you exactly how much someone values you. Or in this case, doesn't. I paused at the doorway, my hand on the knob. One last look around. The couch where we planned our future. The kitchen where she told me she couldn't see one. And just like that, I closed the door. No slam, just a soft click. That sounded a lot like freedom. The first morning without her was strange. The bed felt huge. The apartment felt quiet, but the air felt lighter. I started small, shaved the beard I'd been neglecting. Went for a run. Nothing intense, just enough to feel my lungs working. I made myself breakfast, the kind I actually liked, without worrying if she'd roll her eyes at the smell. Friends I hadn't seen in months started hearing from me again. We laughed over dumb stories, sat at crowded diners at midnight, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't checking my phone every 5 minutes. And here's the thing. It wasn't some dramatic movie moment where I suddenly felt healed. It was little things. The sound of my own laughter, the taste of coffee I made just for me, the realization that I could plan a day without wondering if it would start with a fight. I thought I'd feel empty without her. Turns out, I just felt free. It's funny. For a while I thought she broke me, but looking back now, she just broke the illusion. I'd built around her. I don't hate her. I don't even wish her ill. If anything, I'm grateful. Grateful she showed me exactly who she was before I wasted more years convincing myself she was someone else. She taught me something I didn't realize I needed to learn, that my worth isn't negotiable. And it's sure as hell not replaceable. I'm not a placeholder in someone else's life. I'm not a backup plan. I'm the main character in my own story, and she was just a chapter. Would I take her back if she showed up tomorrow, crying and begging? Not a chance. Because once you see someone's true colors, you can't unsee them. And I'd rather walk alone in peace than walk beside someone who makes me feel small. I used to replay our conversations in my head, looking for the moment things shifted now. I don't care where it started, I only care where I'm going. And where I'm going feels a lot like freedom.